Hi, I'm Bill McDonald of the Charlotte County Libraries and History, and welcome to the premiere episode of Center Stage Charlotte County, a monthly segment where we profile Charlotte County entrepreneurs, business leaders, artists, entertainers, and athletes. And our guest today is Elizabeth Tracy, who's not only an accomplished filmmaker, but she's also a manager of the Charlotte County Television. Welcome to our first segment.
Thank you
Elizabeth.
for having
Yes,
me.
absolutely. The film that you made is called Choices and Chances. And can you tell us a little bit about the plot and why it's called Choices and Chances?
Well, the name came about because the choices that we all make in our lives is a chance we take with our own lives and the people's lives around us. And that's kind of where the name came from. But Choices and Chances is a film about teenage drinking and driving, texting and driving, teenage bullying, and teenage suicide. And really we follow a group of teenagers through the course of a few months, and we see tragedy unfold, and how that can have an effect on teenagers and bullying, how it can affect your mental well-being, feeling isolated. And we also deal with parents that are also bullying their kids as well and having issues at home. So we kind of cover the spectrum to try to really show what life is like now as a teenager in this world of social media and of drugs and alcohol, and information flying so quickly between students and gossip and stuff like that.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your background. How did you get involved in video production, film and directing?
Well, originally I have a associate's degree in teleproduction, so I started off in teleproductions, and then I went on and got a bachelor's of communications and marketing, and I started my career actually with PBS up in Massachusetts and doing kind of documentary work. And then when I moved down here to Florida, I got the job with Charlotte County and kind of continued that video production work, doing really what I love, which is educating people about things that really have an effect on them. And county government has a true effect on you. It has an effect on your bottom line, on the community you choose to live in. So I'm producing content that really will help educate them about things that will affect them. And I've been doing that now for 15 years, and I make independent films on the side as a way to keep it fresh and lively.
Yeah. And right now, to give our viewers a chance to kind of sample a little bit of your film, we're going to show the trailer of Choices and Chances.
There's a toll to get on our bus, asshole. Pay up or walk.
She's always been like that. Like, Crystal's been bullying people since longer than I can remember.
I'll do it.
No!
I never did anything to you.
Today's Friday. You have the weekend and the audition is Wednesday. We know how tough you are. Be there.
She don't know you ain't got brains enough to learn no dance moves.
The day I die, I'm coming for you.
I just feel so guilty.
Oh my God. What's going on, Tiff?
We know who's been sending your daughter the death messages.
need you to come with me to identify the body of a young girl.
Because the choices you made were the chances you took.
Well, that was interesting. And how long would you say after you did the first shot, and then how long did it take to complete the film, do the editing, and then screen it at the Port Charlotte Town Center Mall? What was the time frame?
It was about 2.5 years. What we originally had wanted to do is produce a video, a film that would be played back to the high school students and that they could relate to, and it was kind of a replacement for Prom Promise. And we came up with someone to write the screenplay, and then we had to cast our actors. And so we went to local theater groups, and we held a casting right here at the library, an open casting call for people in the area. And it took time to get all of our actors in. And then once we realized, because we're working with teenagers, the plan was to shoot over the first summer. But that kids have vacations and kids go to their other parents on the summer break, and we had a hard time getting everybody, all of the teenagers on the different locations. We had 16 different locations that we were shooting at. So we found it very difficult to shoot during the week. So then we ended up going to shooting on the weekends. And that stretched out our time for filming. Everything that we did with it was donated via in-kind or by a location. So working with all the different organizations and having their space available to us when it was convenient for them as well.
Now here's the question I've always wanted to ask a director. When you're shooting a scene, how do you balance the technical aspects, the lighting, the sound, the blocking the position of the actors with the communication of the scene, or what the scene is trying to say artistically, what the actors are trying to communicate?
Well, I think as a director, when we are setting up, my focus is on the lighting and the scene and our blocking, really making sure we have the movement in the camera that we want and is communicating the message that we want to communicate and capturing the emotion that we want to communicate. So while the technical crew is blocking that out and going through and setting that up, my focus is on that. Then once we get the actor in there and we're actually doing it, my focus shifts from the technical side, which we've already kind of gone over and we've fine-tuned to what we want, to the emotional side of it and how the actor is actually acting.
Oh, I see. And with one thing that I noticed with Choices and Chances is that it's both public service elements in the sense that it covers addiction, teen drinking, and drug use, and bullying, but it also is a strong family drama. And how were you able to do both those different types of films in one?
I think that was the screenwriting. The screenwriter, Keith Tracy, did a great job of incorporating not just the trials and tribulations that happen at school, but that they also happen at home, and that you don't always know what other kids are dealing with at home. And you don't always understand the complexities of why maybe a bully might be bullying you, but you don't know their backstory. So we wanted to kind of put in there the backstory to some of these kids and why maybe they behave the way they behave.
Exactly. Now they say that in theater, it's an actor's medium and film is a director's medium. Did you find that to be the case?
Well, we worked with a lot of local theater actors, and theater acting is definitely different than on-camera acting. In theater, you have to be big and bold and use a lot of facial expressions and body movement because you're on stage and your audience is watching you from feet away, where in film, we're right in your personal space. And so you don't subtlety goes a lot farther in film. And so your facial expressions, your body language, the subtle elements are really what communicate the message that we're trying to get. So I think that's a little bit different. But I mean, the acting is just as important to have to become that character.
Yeah. And did you find directing this film that how much of it was your vision from taking what was on the page and making it into a film versus collaborating with the cast and crew and your director of photography, your DP, and I mean, we
had, the idea came to us, and it was very raw. We didn't really quite know what we were going to do with it. And then we handed it over to the screenwriter, who did a lot of research and came up with a script. And then we actually brought professionals in that work in the school district and fire EMS, and that were dealing with these situations day in and day out, and read the script, so that we made sure that it was really on point to what, you know, was happening in real life. And I think that that part of the making sure that we were working with the right professionals to make sure that we captured what we needed to capture was really on the screenwriter. And then it came to me as the producer and director to take that black and white image of words on a paper and bring it to life in all of its full color, and really finding our locations, finding our props, finding the scenes that we needed to shoot, and really bringing it to life. And that's really what I enjoy doing as a director, is bringing it to life from the page.
Now, and you mentioned a little bit about this, you had various levels of experience, and with not only your cast, people who acted in it, but also perhaps your crew. Was that a challenge, people with various experiences and skill levels all trying to come together to...
It was a challenge, but I think part of it, that was the beauty of the project, that we were everyone was learning. The kids that were young actors were learning. We had some people that were been in the film industry for the last 50 years. And we had him on board as our director of photography. He really knew what he was going for and looking for. But then we also had a CCTV intern, James, who was running the microphone. They got to learn from each other. James got to, you know, learn from Bob, and the same thing with the actors. We had some older actors, some seasoned actors, and then we had the younger kids who only did a year or two in theater, but they all got to work together and collaborate. And it was really a big family. We had lots of fun, and it was a learning experience, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, I just wanted to take this moment to say that I had the good fortune of being in your film, and it was a wonderful experience. I played the father of the main character, Jerry. I'm trying to remember the last name. Was it Jerry Duran, I think? And the daughter, Tiffany, was the central character. And one thing I learned from you, there was a particular scene that we were filming one day, and the actress that played my wife in the movie, Maureen Moran, she had the vast majority of lines, and I thought, okay, well, this is a nice opportunity to just sort of kind of sit back and coast a little bit and support Maureen and support the production, but you know, there's not a whole lot expected of me, and we were doing one of the takes, and you stopped and you said, cut, and you said, Bill, you're not giving Maureen anything. And I learned a really good lesson that, you know, even though if you're in a scene and you're not, you don't have any lines, that's when you really have to be keyed into what's happening, because you can't communicate verbally. You have to express non-verbally, and you have to support the character. And when you're supporting the character, that allows that individual to give more to the scene as well. So I learned a really good lesson, and I tried to get it together after that pointer. So I greatly appreciate that. Now, when you had a chance to do the red carpet at the Town Center Mall, was this something that you maybe dreamed about, like when watching a movie and saying, you know, I would love someday to have maybe one of my movies on the big screen? And so if you describe what was going through your mind during the and what you were feeling during the red carpet event when you had multiple screens. I think you had, what, 2?
I've been fortunate enough to have several of my films screened, my short films screened at film festivals where we've had red carpet events.
Oh, okay. So this wasn't anything terribly
So
new.
when we were in the planning process of this, we wanted to accomplish a few things. We wanted it to be an educational showing, so we had a panel of 10 guests from different organizations, so that after the movie we could talk about what we just saw, because the topics are so deep, and we really wanted to have the professionals there to talk about it. But we also wanted it to be a red carpet affair for all of the actors and organizations that put all of their time and resources into this, so they could come out and enjoy seeing their finished product and be proud of what they worked on. And so I think we were able to really blend those two things together with having the red carpet feel and then having the panel that really kind of hammered down on the important issues.
Yeah, that was a very important part of the screening, the panel and the question and answers that you had at the end of the screening. Another challenge I would imagine would be that the film only takes place in over a couple of days, yet the filming process lasted almost 2 years. Was it a challenge to have everyone look the same, wear the same clothes, keep the same weight?
There is a actress that is in the film, but only in a few scenes because she did go and cut her hair. She cut her hair off, and she couldn't. She still had a few more scenes. Thank goodness she wasn't. It wasn't a speaking role. It was just a background character. But she did change her appearance dramatically, and we weren't able to. There were some others that had changed. Of course, they were growing. It was actually the editing process when we had finished shooting, and then it took about 9 months to edit it. It was that 9 months when we saw people at the red carpet. It was like some of the boys had grown 3 inches, and the girls had gone from little girls to these, older high school teenagers. So there was definitely a change, a transition. But when they signed up to do this, they knew how long it would take. And then as we realized that it was going to take longer, it was just having the commitment from them. Because once we got a few scenes shot with our main characters, we're kind of locked in. They were our main characters.
Right.
If for some reason one of them had gone off or decided they didn't want to participate anymore, we would have had to go back to the drawing board.
Right. Now, how much drive and resilience did it take? Because to do this film while you're working a responsible and stressful full-time position, you just couldn't take a year off to say, look, guys, can you man the ship here? Because I'm going to be directing the film, and I need time to work on it. You're doing this on nights, weekends.
I think part of it. That's why it took so long. It was part of on top of our regular job responsibilities, but we also CCTV always does special videos, whether it's a Christmas funny video or we did a mosquito control video. So we're always working on different fun stuff. So this was just something new and innovative that we wanted to present to our community as a way to communicate some of the important things that our residents are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. I have to give credit to Keith Tracy. He really was able to, as one of the executive producers, keep we had over 100 people that were part of the production cast and crew, to keep them all organized and tuned in and keep the ship going in the right direction. As I was working on getting the locations and the flowers for the funeral and all the different in-kind contributions that the community was so generous to believe in this project and contribute.
Great. Now, I believe Choices and Chances won an award. Did it not?
It did. It won several awards from NATOA. It won for the children's category, so for government programming directed towards children. We won first place, and that's a national organization, so I was very, very excited about that. We got selected to be in some film festivals, and then we got honorary awards from a few other organizations. So the way that Choices and Chances was designed was to be shown in a group setting where there is kind of an adult leader there. We created educational material to go with it so that you could have a productive conversation afterwards about different characters in the situations that they were in, to really help prompt conversation with adults and children, not for it to necessarily be watched on its own. So we tried to show it in group settings. We showed it at the cinema with a panel of professionals, then we showed it at the library. We've shown it at Northport City Hall twice. We sent it out into different community organizations for them to show it to their groups. But that way, it's not just out there and people aren't just watching it without having the background and having that tough conversation afterwards. So COVID hit, and we kind of they weren't doing group anything anymore.
Right.
So we kind of been, on the back burner. But I'm actively involved with Holly's Hope, which is a suicide group, and they're really still pushing it, and we're working to try to get it out there wherever we can.
Wonderful, yeah. Now, having done a major film here in Charlotte County, what skill set do you think a director, if you were to design a skill set that a director should possess, or at least some of the attributes that he or she may need to successfully make a film, what might be on that list?
Well, I know I personally, as a director, enjoy taking input from all of my crew around me and even the actors around me. If they have a suggestion, I am always going to be all ears to listen to it. That doesn't mean that I'm going to do what you suggest. That doesn't mean that I like that suggestion, but I'm going to always listen to your suggestion, because I do think that in the end, it is my decision and I am the one that has to make that decision, but I don't know everything creative. I'm not the world's most creative person. All of us have something creative that we have to offer to the final piece. So I really try to make sure that everyone feels comfortable to talk to me, to come up and talk to me, to share their ideas. And I think as a director, you're guiding the ship, so you really have to keep everybody engaged and feel like they're being listened to and they're a part of the process, especially in filmmaking where there's a lot of downtime. You have your crew who is setting up, you have your actors who feel like they're just sitting around waiting as we're blocking and lighting. But it's all an important orchestra of people moving and doing their tasks, so that in the end it all comes together.
Now, some people might not know this, but when you shoot a film, you don't shoot in sequence. In other words, the beginning scenes aren't necessarily filmed in the beginning. It may be whatever you can shoot that day. You may be doing all the office conference room scenes on a Wednesday in June, and you may be doing the outdoor scenes on a Saturday in October, and they may not necessarily follow that sequence when people actually watch the film. Is that a challenge to film scenes out of the sequence that the viewer actually
We had a person who was kind of in charge of wardrobe, because especially with certain, we were shooting what would be a school day, so we had footage of certain characters in school that day with events happening, and then they went home that night, and we have scenes of them at home in their house and events happening, and they have to be wearing the same outfits, have the same hair, have the same nail polish. Those could have been shot months apart, depending on when we were allowed to go in the school and when we were allowed access to the person's home. So we had someone who was in charge of wardrobe, and then we were taking pictures of our characters on each day to make sure that we knew when we said you have to be at the school on this Saturday, you were wearing this outfit when we shot the scene at home, to make sure you have that outfit, which was very helpful because they can get confusing.
Yes, absolutely. And what advice would you give to someone who would like to work in film production, maybe director or producer or somewhere along those lines?
Just keep doing it. Keep putting out your art. Keep trying. Your first piece might not be the best, but keep at it and just practice, practice, practice. Whether it's if you want to be a director, then put yourself out there with the local groups and find your group of people. If it's being the actors, they have lots of actors groups. Really just take it and take the time to invest in it, and you'll keep getting better at it, keep getting better at it. I mean, I still am learning constantly, and every project that I work on gives me some form of excitement that, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what the final project's gonna look like, but I know I have to get to the end. And I always say, the reason why I love being like a producer, director, editor, is that I look at it like a big puzzle, and I have all of these pieces out in front of me, and sound bites and images, and now I have to piece that all together to have one finished product. And that really, you never know what that finished product is gonna come out looking like. And so you just gotta keep practicing. You might edit it together and say, I need to start all over again. This is not what I envisioned.
And doing the film, what, as a person, what did the directing experience of Choices and Chances give back to you?
It was the largest film that I had directed. I had done lots of short stories and news stories for work and documentaries. This was my longest film. And I think as a director, one of the things that I took away from it professionally is a high respect for my crew. My crew made it happen. I don't have all of their skill sets. I need to rely on them and their skill set, and to know that they know what they're doing and that I'm communicating to them what I want so that they can do what they're supposed to do the right way. And I think that it's a team effort. You know, the director's name and the producer's names end up before the credits, but it's really the gaffers, the audio, the craft services, and everyone that's coming together to make it so that it's enjoyable for all of your actors. If you want your actors to come back, you have to take care of them. The
film is a really collaborative experience. You know, they say it, and it's not just a stereotype or a cliche. It's really true. Just working on your film, the thing that I enjoyed the most was the feeling that everybody was focused on making that particular scene right that particular time. And even though everyone was doing slightly different things, you might have been behind the camera, you might be carrying a microphone, you might be acting in the scene, you might be off in the distance, but you're all trying to coordinate it together. And that's a wonderful experience to be, I think, part of when you have this shared goal, but on a very high level with a lot of people. There's not too many things like it. Maybe a great sports team where the infield knows each other, or NASA or something trying to coordinate something. But it's a tremendous group feeling, I think.
And we tried to create that at all of our different. We had, some scenes where we had a lot of people. Certain scenes there was just a few characters, but I think we really tried to make the entire group feel like a family. This was their project as well.
Anything interesting coming up?
The normal day-to-day operations of CCTV is the educating of the public about programs and services that Charlotte County government offers. So we're constantly making videos and trying to make entertaining videos about that. We're actually making a video that's going to be playing at the gala, the Charlotte County Centennial Gala, which is a history video. That's about 20 minutes documentary that we've been working on.
That's coming up later this month.
That's coming up later this month, and then it will air on CCTV after it airs at the gala. Yeah. So that really, we talked to about 14 different people that grew up and lived or have ancestors that came here to Charlotte County and Punta Gorda area, and really to get their perspective on how the community has changed over the years. We got some interviews with younger folks who why they came back to start their families in Charlotte County. So really like a broad look at the history of Charlotte County and where we're going in the future, because we have a bright future ahead of us.
Well, Elizabeth Tracy, I want to thank you for being our guest on Center Stage Charlotte County. And we hope that you tune in the coming months to meet our outstanding community members. Thank you.